Hello, dear shipmates. Lucky Mies 205 over here, and this time we're gonna review Ironblood newest, while this video is recorded, ultra rare battleship, and I'm gonna perhaps fail with the name, but Götz von Berlichingen, I think. Götz von Berlichingen. Apologies if I pronounce the name wrong, but I'm gonna just call her Götz or Götz. Either way, yes. She is H-class battleship, meaning a blueprint ship or paper ship, how do you want to call it? And I think H13 excuse me, H39 type or variation of the certain ship design. And the reason I'm confident that she is H39 design, well, based on what I heard, H39 was also designed not just with 406mm main guns, but also a bow-mounted submerged torpedo tubes. And if you have Ulrich von Hutten and she does this skill, you notice she fires torpedo barrage. And I'm confident that, well, as they have also categorized her, Götz is Ulrich's sister ship, while Friedrich is the, well, she is H-class battleship, but it seems she is a class of her own, while Ulrich and Götz are official sisters, but personally, I think Friedrich, Ulrich, and Götz are H39 variation class battleships. But now that's out of the way. She only existed. The H class only existed as a in paper only. What the Kriegsmarine was planning to do, meaning H39, is a upgraded version from the Bismarck class. Like a bigger ship, bigger guns, some improvements. But I'm not sure what's more improved other than just bigger guns. And they perhaps share the same armor scheme like a Bismarck class did. But H-class has, as I mentioned, submerged bow-mounted torpedo tubes. Imagine just a huge battleship turning towards you, bow in, but then you just see it's keeping it turning on either port or starboard. And perhaps, I don't know, a few seconds later you see a wave of torpedoes heading towards you, just because that enemy battleship had a bow-mounted torpedo tubes. I think that would be a very interesting concept in World of Warships, because World of Warships has a German tech tree line, and there you can actually play Friedrich der Große battleship, which is personally very questionable performance nowadays World of Warships. If the game suggests you to play as a secondary battleship, I highly recommend do not, if you don't want to lose your mind with the very questionable dispersion. But she has very quick reload main guns, very fast main guns. How should I pronounce it in English? Very fast reloading guns, that's what I was meant to say. But anyway, I hope the message is clear. But back to the Azur lane, Götz von Berlichingen. I think I'm gonna just later on just gonna do proper research how to pronounce the name, but now. How is she in the game? Well, as you can see in the screen, she is not 100% complete, so I'm gonna have to read her in the Azur lane wiki. Let's start with a maximum level 125, which means her HP is 9,995, 5 points away for 10,000, but for comparison's sake to her sister, Ulrich, they only have, what I believe, 200 point-ish difference in HP, because Ulrich has 9,741 HP. Meaning that Götz have way more HP. Now as for the firepower, Götz has 477 firepower while Ulrich has 454. There is a 20 points perhaps difference, but their anti-air is similar as well as reload. The Götz on the other hand is 20 points, or closely 20 points, better evasion. Ulrich has 28, but Götz is going with the 41 evasion, which is very interesting with the Battleship, I have to admit, especially Ironblood. Now as for the speed is the same, their accuracy is not that much different. Ulrich has 69 at maximum, but Götz takes 70. As for the luck stat is the same, which is 50 and the oil cost is 17. Now with the fun part, main gun efficiency 160%, which is very good. Now as for secondary gun efficiency 210%, which is also very delicious for a battleship. Now she gets 3 main guns, 3 secondary guns, but 1 anti-air gun with a 90% efficiency, and by Azur lane standards, going below 100 or 90 or 95 below is a questionable performance. If you go above 105%, that's considered to be very decently good performance or efficiency. And Ironblood, just to be honest, is really bad with anti-air defenses. Now, if you limit break her, I'm gonna read on the Wikipedia, which says the following. First is the main gun mount +1, main gun efficiency +5, salvo capacity +1, secondary gun mount +2, which means you have now 3, and main gun efficiency +10, and in third you have main gun mount +1 and main gun efficiency +15. Excuse me. Which means she has very interesting battle performance with the salvo capacity. Now let's go with the skills, shall we? This is rather interestingly made, but in Azur lane wiki it is actually very well written. Like, how should I pronounce it? I heard the word somewhere, but just separating things if there's too much going on with the skill. Either way, let's start with the offensive skill, which means, offensive, and which name is Let Judgment Be Decreed by Iron Fist. When this ship's main gun finishes reloading, 100% chance to target an enemy, increasing their damage taken by 8% for 6 seconds. prioritizes humanoid enemies, and fires level 10 special barrage. Damage is based on the skill level. And now, when an enemy enters a certain range from this ship, fires level 10 special barrage. Damage is based on the skill's level. 15 seconds cooldown between activations. When this effect is activated for the first time each battle, restores 6% of this ship's max HP. Now, I'm gonna tell my opinions later on, because there's so much going on with this ship, and I intend to do proper research. Now with the was it support skill? Let the Ode of Rebellion forever resound. Now I'm gonna read this on the Wikipedia because it's level 1 in my case. At the start of battle, increases this ship firepower, accuracy and reload by 15%. Now with the new one. Shortens the reload time of this ship's main guns by 50%. But reduces main gun damage by 45%. As you can see, if you have level 1, 55 is too much. Now, those who actually know this skill, yes, you can actually see the similarities with these Götz and Ulrich. Now the third one is, during battle, increases this ship crit rate by 10% and critical damage by 20% against enemies that have been on the field for longer than 2 seconds. Now that is very interesting one. And now the last one is defense skill, which is may the pact of blood never burn away. Alright. Which says the following. At the start of battle, reduces this ship damage taken by 10%. Now the second part. As long as this ship is afloat, reduces the burn damage taken by Iron Blood ships in your main fleet by 20%. Now for the third part. When a fleet this ship is not in starts its first 3 battles of a sortie. As long as this ship is still afloat, fires level 10 supporting barrage 30 seconds after the start of battle and restores 5% of the flagship's max HP. Damage is based on the skill level. Now, those who have already completed her, or actually can see the Baron, she is packing quite an interesting punch. But I'm gonna tell my opinions in the last section of this video. But now let's go with the character design. Now, if you zoom out and actually take a further look about her rigging perhaps, you can see 406mm guns, but according to the resources I managed to find, some H-classes ships were planned to have 420mm guns. But I'm betting that there are 406mm fast reloading guns, so let's go with that. The character design is very interesting theme. There are rigging bats with 105mm guns on their backs. Interesting. I don't know. Gothic design came to my mind, but I don't think that's it. Perhaps vampire? Succubus theme? Maybe succubus theme. There are huge wings on her, keeping them in place like a big cape, perhaps? You can see 150mm secondary guns over there. Oh, and perhaps this interesting serpentine dragon has 2 heads, or perhaps he has 2 of them. I don't know. Very interesting design. There's a better design log, I have to admit. Very beautifully drawn. 406mm main battery guns. I actually love this detail over here. Just so much details. Oh, there's one hidden over there as well. I admit this is very well designed and simple design. A serpentine design, perhaps. Perhaps serpent design given by the wings on the head of the Riggin. Is this succubus design? Even just looking at her hands, if you go with her in her right hand, the iron gauntlets, are they? I don't know. And then her left hand is free from it. And the rest of the design, iron boots, very interesting. Emerald eyes. Are they emerald eyes? Very green. And one I actually found that someone mentioned that the horns are slightly similar compared to the Ulrich's horns, but they are taller or longer, while Ulrich has smaller ones. She has a skin, which is very wild, I will admit. But well made, nonetheless. Now I'm gonna drop this very interesting detail. This is a picture. Scharnhorst, starting from left to right. Scharnhorst, Gneisenau, Bismarck and Tirpitz. These are the oldest battleship characters in Ironblood fleet. As you can see, their origin, well, the Ironblood theme is military focused. But as time passes on and Azur Lane is closely and 1 year away of 10th anniversary, but right now it is a 9th anniversary. And now we just take a look at Götz over here. I'm gonna remove picture right now. As you can see, it has taken interesting approach. Well, we are talking about gacha game, so it's a not big surprise at this point. But the character designs, of course, there was one point in the Ironblood event where we got World War I battleship designs. Well, character design as well. Those are also very good looking. Rondo at Rainbow's End, the battleship characters over there. Seydlitz, if I recall, and Thuringen, and whoever wants the other one. Not the Deflinger. Lutzow. And was there the other one? No. Yes, so those are just the examples. The military focused Ironblood. But because we are now going to the future, like an H class, they're going with the how should I? Way more interesting. Well, it depends on the artist, how they want to draw the character. I don't know how they make these characters, but either way, she's a very well made character, I will admit personally. It's not bad, it's very fascinating to have this Succubus is the other way. I know. I'm sorry. It's stuck in my mind. It's radiating succubus theme in my eyes at this point. But that's my opinion only. But I'm gonna give her, for now, Iron Blood prototype 406mm main guns, prototype twin 150mm guns. I think I'm gonna change 105 somewhere on the point, but I gave her Fumo 25 and type 1 AP shell. Now, this is the good way to end this one. Now onward to the last part and my final opinions about Götz von Berlichingen. I think I pronounced that name slightly right. Alright guys and girls, Lucky Mies 205 voiceover over here, and Götz, I'm gonna try this again, Götz von Berlichingen. I'm sorry if I pronounced the name incorrectly or wrong way, but Götz. Let's just go with the Götz. Or Götz. I should have done some research with the name. Anyway, let's just say she's a heavily built barrage firing battleship. Like, if there is anyone like her, I probably don't remember that type of ship, but in Iron Blood, Götz is one of those who fires very heavy barrage just from single skill. And I had done some research and a little bit test runs thanks to the challenge mode. Götz with the being only battleship on the backline, and you have either two carriers over there. And from there are things I learned. One is that her skill, something like shortens the reload time of the ship main guns by 50%. It's basically on a copy from Ulrich's skill, and reduces main gun damage by 45%. Yes, that somewhat forces you to choose, do you want to have a AP focused or HE focused? Like if there's a heavy armor enemy, you want to have an AP, or if there is a medium or light armor enemy, HE is a get-go. Of course, AP works on medium armor enemy too. Now, as for the 45% damage reduction to the main guns, it's an unfortunate balance build, I think. But it had to be compensated with this very heavily barraged skill, which is what I have found is the let judgment be decreed by Iron Fist, which says the following: when this ship main gun finishes reloading, 100% chance to target an enemy, increasing their damage taken by 8% for 6 seconds, and fires level 10 special barrage. I had to watch a replay a couple of times, or just a 5 minutes. If you just make a 5-minute recording of just Götz firing her main guns, you can see plenty amount of lasers, shells and bats flying over the screen. And I have to be honest, it took me very I was quite surprised how heavy Barrage ship she is. Once she finishes reloading, she fires the lasers, if I saw it correctly. And after that, she fires red dark shells, or very red shells, many of them in one point where the enemy was. And then comes the swarm of bats. Very wide area. I have to admit, I guess most of the damage come from that skill alone, if the main gun damage is reduced by 45%. Now as for the her support skill, which goes with the following, says the following, excuse me. Let the Oath of Rebellion forever resound, which says the following. During battle, increases this ship crit rate by 10% and critical damage by 20% against enemies that have been on the field for longer than 2 seconds. I.e., if you have like one enemy and that happens to be humanoid enemy, well, you can almost guess what happens when the when her attack skill procs, and you add this support skill that increases the critical rate and critical damage if the enemy happen to have on the field longer than 2 seconds. Meaning, yes, he's starting to do some very nasty damage. And if there have been like level 26 enemies on the field, and Götz is also part of your fleet, and this skill happens to proc, if you haven't somehow managed to kill enemies under 5 minutes before Götz fires her main guns, congratulations. But if you go beyond that, well, Götz steps in and she starts to fire a very good amount of barrages, one after the other. And with your salvo capacity with 1, let's just say if you manually forget she reloaded her main gun, she automatically fires her, let's just say, both barrages, and then you add your main gun. I have to admit, it's a this is very unique way of doing damage. Now that I looked into the mechanics, actually puzzling everything together, no wonder she has salvo capacity and fast reloading guns. I mean, think about it. She has a skill that says when this ship main gun finishes reloading, 100% chance to target an enemy, increase their damage taken by 8% for 6 seconds, and fires level 10 special barrage. If you have 2 capacity to your salvos, and you have 50% reload time of this ship main guns reduced, that was oddly pronounced, apologies, she could fire 2 of these if you happen to forget while playing manually. But if you go automatically, well, she fires it immediately, which is fine. I think this would also work very well in Operation Siren. Now as for the at the start of battle, which is defensive skill, let me read this following, which is, may the pact of blood never burn away, which is, at the start of battle, reduces this ship damage taken by 10%, which makes her tanky, like a real battleship should be, taking somewhat less damage. And as long as this ship is afloat, reduces the burn damage taken by Iron Blood ships in your main fleet by 20%. This reminds me of Northern Parliament. Was it Sovietsky's Soyuz skill? One of their... Well, was it Sovietsky Russia battleship? Or one of those vodka ships that says the same thing, like reduces burn damage to your Northern Parliament ships, which is rather interesting because I don't remember much of the well, if I think about it again, there have been some instances when my main fleet was burning in main campaign. I don't remember much in the Operation Siren, but either way. Taking less damage from fire, I take that. It's very nice addition. Perhaps in the exercises, shall we say, if the enemy happens to set your ship on fire and you have Iron Blood fleet some reason in exercises, this skill can be very helpful. Now with the when a fleet this ship is not in starts its first 3 battles of a sortie, that's very interestingly pronounced, and written, as long as this ship is afloat, fires level 10 sporting Barrage 30 seconds after the start of battle, and restores 5% of flagship's max HP. And it seems to indicate you can actually repeat this 3 times, which is very limited, but understandable, perhaps in balance sake. Oh, I actually forgot to mention in the Let Judgment by Decreed by Iron Fist, this last part, which says the following. When this effect is activated for the first time each battle, restores 6% of this ship max HP. And it triggers only when an enemy enters a certain range from this ship. Fires level 10 special barrage, 15 seconds cooldown between activations. And this barrage is the same one that Friedrich and Ulrich are using, but in Götz, I was almost saying in Götz state, but I think that's a wrong way to say. Götz case, there we go. In Götz case, we have a red bats, many red bats, flying towards the enemy, and the pattern is replicated from Friedrich der Grosse's barrage and Ulrich von Hutten's barrage. And how to trigger this? If the enemy happens to get just somewhere in the white line, if you push your vanguard way forward, that's the triggering sector, I would say, which activates this barrage, and from there Götz is healing herself once per fight, which is admittedly very useful because not many Iron Blood battleships have that of skill. And if you're bringing any Iron Blood ship that does not have healing skill, you're basically screwed in map 16. But now that we have Götz, well, she can heal herself, which is very helpful at the start of the battle if the enemy happens to push just instantly, which is very helpful indeed. But the only downside is her anti-air. And Iron Blood is well known with a lack of anti-air efficiency. So I don't know. Is she useful in map 16? I personally do not know. But those who have way more experience with the main campaign, I would love to see if someone actually uses Götz in map 16. I personally would rather try to use her in the first two parts, chapter 1 and 2, or part 1 and 2, but part 3 in personal experience is a one Helheim, and I do not like it at all. And I guess that's all I actually think of about Götz. She's a very, very good ship, perhaps the strongest. Now if I have to compare to the Mecklenburg or Bismarck, Svei or Friedrich or Ulrich, personally I do not know. Because in my case, she is not 100% complete to be compared. But once she is 100% complete, like level 125, like the rest of the Iron Blood battleships, then I can say with great confidence, is she the strongest or equal compared to the rest of the Iron Blood ultra rare battleships. But that's my personal opinion only. What is your opinion about Götz von Berlichingen is your opinion. Time will tell, and my experience with the Götz will also grow. But that's all I actually can say about Götz for now. Thank you so much for watching. And just a slight reminder, if you haven't noticed, I'm gonna take June as an entire month, as a resting month from content creation. Just a small notification over here. And after June there will be more content. If you have found this video informative, subscription and hitting the like button also does the job. If you want to help with the algorithm, commenting also does the job. And now for the ending. My name is Hagiobull205. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you in the next one.